Good afternoon and welcome to our Financial Advisor Forum this Thursday, October 24th. I'm Greg Greenberg, live from the street. And for all the talk about Obamacare, positive and negative, healthcare stocks continue to outperform. The healthcare spider ETF, the XLV, is up 32% this year versus a 23% rise in the entire S&P 500. Here to talk about what's driving the sector is Terry Hisey, Vice Chairman of Healthcare Life Sciences at Deloitte. Welcome, Terry.
Great to be here, Greg.
All right, now they say that the market hates uncertainty. Nevertheless, there's a lot of uncertainty over Obamacare, especially the rollout, but the stocks are really flying. What's driving them, you think?
I think what's driving them is really the anticipation of the number of new patients that are going to flow into the markets. Anytime you talk about adding 22 or 30 million patients to a market that are going to be consumers of healthcare services, of drugs, of medical devices, that's going to drive a little bit of utilization and interest on people's parts.
And what's your view of the rollout? I know the president's apologizing for it right now. Catherine Sebelius is on the hot seat. What do you think?
Anything that you kind of embark upon is always going to have bumps in the road that need to be worked out. I think if we take a look at the underlying intent of healthcare reform, the healthcare transformation we're seeing in the marketplace, it's really about dealing with questions of access, cost, quality of healthcare. There are problems that we need to address. We cannot continue to spend the level of GDP on healthcare that we do today. So, operating under the assumption it's going to work its way out, there's going to be a number of good things that are going to happen and some things companies are going to need to work through as well.
A big part of that transformation is trying to turn doctors' offices and hospitals digital, bringing all that data and focusing it at the local level. So from your view at Deloitte, what are you seeing in terms of harnessing that big data and making healthcare more efficient?
I think it's helping to make healthcare more efficient and making it more effective. At Deloitte, we work with a lot of clients, helping them to implement electronic medical records, dealing with health information technology. People will hear a buzz phrase, big data, and institutions are putting this to use, trying to understand what's the best way to treat patients, what products work better than others, and that has benefits not just simply for healthcare provider institutions, but also for drug companies as they develop products to really understand, is this product going to be effective in a population? How do I make certain that I've got a new blockbuster drug, or even if it's a smaller patient population, that it's going to be a niche buster and be successful based on utilization of data?
Well, I was talking about big data, you're talking about big pharma. Let's talk about big pharma. Where are you seeing R&D spending right now? In which particular class of drugs? We've seen the biotechs go absolutely crazy this year. What's big pharma doing?
I think big pharma is really dealing with the fact that over the past several years they've seen a decline in ROI of R&D spending, now down almost to cost of capital. So they're really rethinking what they do, new strategies, and trying to take cost out of the system, improve the effectiveness. Increasingly companies are using information to do a job of better informing the bets that they make from an R&D standpoint, better capital and asset allocation decisions, and a lot of companies as well are going from a fixed cost basis to variable, greater use of external contract research organizations. Your question around biotech, absolutely. Big interest on the part of the industry, a lot of money flowing there. And then the other thing that we see is a lot of money from an R&D standpoint flowing into generics and people trying to think about how to capitalize on that as an opportunity.
All right, now I mentioned biotech has really taken off this year. If you were to drill down a little bit more, which areas both of pharma and biotech from an investor point of view do you think, or do you see right now growing fastest?
So I think from if we talk largely broader life sciences, which would be pharma, medtech, and biotech, it's interesting to look at. I think from a pharma and biotech standpoint, which would be drug therapies, big interest in areas that have long-term big cost burden associated with them. Alzheimer's, oncology for cancer. The other thing that's really interesting to us is going to be as we change the healthcare paradigm in the U.S. And go from more of a in-hospital kind of healthcare to anytime, anywhere, all the time, is going to be watching the rise of companies that are involved in mobile health and how that's going to change provision of care and people's utilization of technology to manage conditions.
Well, we certainly are seeing healthcare companies rise, at least on the big board in the NASDAQ. Thanks for coming, Terry Hisey. I'm Greg Greenberg. I'll see you later for After Hours Action, where we'll talk about housing with Malcolm Hohensteiner from TD Bank. But for now, thanks for watching.